Hello! So today I am measuring the vent tubes on the Wagon underneath the dash for the driver's side because we need to make some custom vent tubes with some accordion tubing so I can actually have air come to the driver's side where it comes out of the dash. I'm also trying to get my dash on in a hurry, or at least the AC tubes done and the dash on in a hurry, because I want to race at Musselman this month, which is not too far away. So the goal is to get the vent tubes in, maybe not have the Wagon recharged just yet, you know, the AC charged yet. At least the tubes in and the dash on so I can race, and then the next thing would be to get the AC charged. Because I haven't tested my suspension fully yet. We went out to autocross in Marana, but we didn't mess with the suspension. We forgot to, so I really want to test my suspension. I normally use Musselman as kind of my test track because the track is typically the same every time, being that it's a go-kart track. So the times may be a little bit off compared to each other, but they're pretty close. So that's kind of how I gauge where my progress goes with the car and with my driving. Anyways, I've got to measure these tubes right here because they go to the driver's side. They go underneath the column, little bracket holder. They end up here on this side, about right here. Now there is a massive box that has the little control for the outside inside air. That box actually hooks up right where the bracket for the hydraulic clutch hooks up as well. So I can't use that little area. That's why we're making the custom tubes to come from those holes right here underneath, and then to come out to the little vents for where the dash is. Another task I've got to complete. Project cars are never complete. I kind of forgot the measuring tape. I guess I'm gonna need that. Also, it's all pretty and rainy outside. Monsoon season's finally hitting. And I got tank tops made for me. Now I'm super happy about that because I'm actually comfortable. Now we gotta go to Ace and get a tube that can go under the dash and attach to those little areas. Worst case scenario, we might have to just put a clamp on it, but we're gonna do our best to find tubes that properly fit those two little holes over here. So let's go to Ace. Alright, so we just got done at Ace. This is all we could find. It's a 3" by 8" so because it stretches out. So what we're gonna do is that weird oblong shaped like oval tube that's in that little center area. We're gonna try and make this go around it and crimp it to it, or, you know, aluminum tape it to it. And then the smaller hole is going to be blocked off, possibly or most likely by aluminum tape as well. So only going to be using the bigger hole because it's going to pass more air anyways, and it'll be 10 times easier. So this is where we left off, under the dash. So it's still got the box that it came with normally. This is that bracket that's actually broken off from the other one, but where the hydraulic clutch mounts to, we'd have to re-bleed this if I were to take this off. So I'm going to get the fuse box off now, so we can go up and under into here, and it's just above the steering column is where this tube that goes to this connection, this oblong shape, is gonna go. And this is the hole that we're gonna be aluminum taping over and covering because it is much smaller than the oblong shape, and this can carry much more air, and we don't really have a smaller tube, and we couldn't find one that would fit that. So when I explained to Brandon that this was touching and there's no way I thought we could get this ducting in, and I really didn't want to have to unbolt this, he said, yeah, no, that's perfect, because he didn't look at it before. I do have to take this off, unfortunately, so we can get the ducting around, and then we'll have to smash it against it again with this piece. Now, time to get this little part off that holds the steering column, so we can get the actual ducting around the oblong shape, since it sits against the steering column holder bracket thingy-majigger. And then we'll crush the ducting around this oblong shape against the steering column holder. So I have ducting. Alright, so I was able to get these two and these two bottom ones off. They were actually stuck pretty good, but I was able to budge them off. However, this one is very stuck on there. And all I need to do is just budge this away so that this ducting can get in between. But even with what it's missing, it's so tight up here. I think it's where the point it's at too. I have to get this one off and hopefully not this one down here off. Because I don't want to have to get into there if I don't need to. So I'm gonna step out of the car and try and get this off with all my force, and hopefully that will be just enough to get the ducting past this little area right here. Oh my god. I loosened it a little bit. Okay, that's finally off. Now that that bolt's off, I should be able to budge this. Yes, just past it. Now, let's see if I can get the ducting in there. Alright, let's see if we can get this ducting on now. Just kidding. I guess I'm gonna have to take off that other bolt. So this bolt right there, I have to get into so I can get this whole entire piece off, just so I can get this ducting past this tiny bit. It's also our very first Sunday working here, so we're trying to see if people actually like those hours. I don't usually work on Sundays. I've always just happened to get Sundays off at jobs, so it's new to me. But either way, working on my car, doing what I love, so can't beat that.
Oh.
That one.
Oh, yeah. Kind of makes sense, probably in there.
Especially in such a small area, because I can't get this wrench to twist.
It's even better. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll find it.
I don't know where that went.
We'll find it. There it is.
Crisis averted.
Hi.
Tuna!
Yeah, such a cool boy. Yum, yum, yum.
Tuna.
Who's that?
Hi, Bobby. Hi, Toons.
You.
Tune break. Tuna. Bye, Tuna. All right, let's see if I can move this piece out of the way now. Is there a second bolt? There is a second bolt on that thing. Oh my gosh. I hope I never have to see any of these kind of bolts ever again. This job has ruined me. Okay, now let's see if we can remove this. That was easy peasy. And that's going right back in. So let's get the ducting. Remember, this was 3 7/16, and this piping is only 3 inch. So I think we're gonna have to tape whatever's not covered, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll go get the aluminum tape. Were you able to get it all the way around? Sweet. Here you go.
Actually, can you, before we put this on,
Yeah.
wax and grease remover and some blue paper towel. Okay, can you like hold that pressed against here?
So now we've got the ducting for the driver's side, and then this one's blocked off like I told you guys, because there's no point in having that one go, as well as there wouldn't be enough room for another tube, especially because we have to crush this one anyways once we get the steering column back in its proper area. So we also still have to cut this to the proper length. These all extend. It's just like the normal dryer hose that extends out. So we're probably going to cut it a little bit longer than it needs to be, and then it'll come out to the vent that's on the driver. So now it's a bunch more of putting the dash back together, all the parts I took off and everything, and then we'll get the ducting cut to the proper length once we get the dash pretty close to on, so we can actually see where that vent ends up. So more time lapse of me putting things back on the car, because I don't have enough of that. So that's all back in. Brandon's helping me to get the other vent tubes that I purchased for the passenger side in. We're gonna figure that out really quick and then get to work on the dash. All right, so Brandon found out that, so all of the tubes I purchased, like these two, they go to the left side, which is right here. But being that we are using that ducting and we cut off that other side, can't use those two tubes either way. Now that big tube, that leads to the back where the vents are for the rear passengers. Since I don't have a working middle section, it doesn't matter. We can't use it either way. So basically, this is what we're sticking with, how the dash looks now. And that's all the vent tubes I'm gonna have. And that's all I really need. All right, so Brandon and I are getting part of the dash back together, or at least the pieces that are supposed to go up, like the main relay and the fuse box that I unbolted before. So we can just get the dash in now and then start bolting it up to like that little area and where it actually bolts up to underneath. Here, we're gonna have to fight this little ducting that we made so it gets into the proper area where that vent comes out on the dash, which is right here. And this is the vent that was in it before. Brandon popped it off so we can see where the ducting comes and make sure we can shove it through here. And then we'll put the vent back in so it'll look just like this and no one will ever know. Besides whoever watches this video, but but I gotta get these three connectors plugged in, and then these four little holes are where the Phillips go in, and the cluster will be in.
Is this, which means, hold on.
Plug in. we're not 100% positive where this goes. We're thinking here, but I don't remember what it's for. Anyways, so this is where we're at now with the dash. It's much quicker with 2 people. But glove box, the center plastics, gotta get the vent. Oh, my pretty vents that clearly don't belong to this car. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed in the last video with the dash coming out, this side is plastic welded by the previous owner, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, cluster's on with the little plastic piece. Got a bolt over here I gotta do for the dash. But if you can see, that is where the ducting comes through. So it comes right up to this point, and you can actually see it in there. So now I should have air coming to the driver's side. Pretty cool. And then we just gotta get the rest of the bits in, and I can take her home. For any of you that don't know, these are not the seats that came with the wagon. They are Integra DA seats that the previous owners made work. The front bolts line up actually pretty decently. The rear bolts do not. And so you can see this is actually the actual bolt hole. They drilled into it to make that one work. And then this one, they got to work, but it makes one of the bolts, either in front or in the back, off. And so we're putting in the passenger seat with that same issue. And when I first test drove it, these seats both rocked back and forth. It's because they didn't have a 4th bolt. And we refused to purchase it because of a lot of reasons, but that was a main reason. Anyways, I'm eventually gonna get some seats. I don't know who I'm going with yet. I prefer if I can get the same upholstery as the factory upholstery because I love this blue plaid. And to try and keep it all factory as possible inside, that would be kind of cool. But I'll see what's out there and see what my wallet looks like at that point. Alright, so now that the seats are in, it's time to go home. Thanks for watching. So forgot to show that the wagon now blows air the driver's side. So, full air. I have air! It's blowing from our ducting that we made and everything. It's not the best air pressure, I guess, that's coming out. And it's also not cold yet. I still have to go and get the leak down test as well as the AC charged, which I can't do on camera because I have to get it done at a shop, which of course filming isn't allowed. But make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will post either a quick video or a picture saying that I now have cold AC, or actually have AC. But for the time being, I at least have moving air, which is better than what I had before, which was nothing. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep you guys updated. Make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope you guys have a good one.